you know. So I'm gonna do a little bit of like a this is probably this is like the first time I've ever done this type of thing. So I'm gonna kind of do a just quick over reflex to the U.S. military ranks. So uh, the DoD does not have the actual lowest rank on this list, which is actually a buck private. And actually, if you look it up, this is what it actually comes up as. Just wait for it to load. It's been a long time since I've used OBS, which is actually what I'm using off of. So bug privates, blah blah blah, which is the lowest rank in the military, right here. Um, it happens, I think, for the last like at least going on 100 years now. So you got the E1, which is basically across the board, your basic thing. You don't actually get an insignia. It's a non-insignia. What actually happens is most time is after basic training, and you've been actually adequated into the Marines, the Army, the Navy, Air Force, Space Force, and our Coast Guard. You get your insignia, which normally a loved one is there after your basic training when you get back, or like that in your squad, and kind of slaps right on you. Normally, like right on the front. Normally, that's what the Marines and the Army do. I believe actually it's just the Army. Now you're gonna go to your, which is your E2, which is your basically at that point you like for here's per se first class, which this actually the Marines are the better one. I honestly I love the way that they do this. Technically, I hate this because this should be specialist training. This should be specialist 1, 2. I love how this is recruit, apprentice, actual. Um, I love how the army decides at E3 to do it instead of E2, Lance Corporal Seaman Airman First Class. You got Corporal Specialist, which basically reality what this is. This obviously this ground, this is air. And you got your Petty Officer Third Class, Navy and Coast Guard are all the same. You got your non-commissioned officer, well, you got the sergeant, sergeant, staff sergeant, petty officer second class, staff sergeant, which is a more senior rank. These two are most times either a squad or platoon leader. Most times, sometimes your lieutenants will be. That's down here. Sometimes your first or second lieutenant will be a squad leader. 9 times out of 10, they are not, though. It's normally your sergeant and or your staff sergeant. Basically, same thing with the Marines. You got the second staff sergeant, technical sergeant. Same thing with the Coast Guard via Navy. Then you got the sergeant first class, gunnery sergeant, petty officer, master sergeant, first sergeant, master sergeant, chief petty officer. Then you got your E8 class, which is your master sergeant, first sergeant, kind of a kind of what the Air Force did with E7. Master sergeant, first sergeant, same thing. Marine, Army with E8. Then you got your senior petty officer, petty officer, senior master sergeant. I like how the Space Force and the Air Force did that. Actually, I've never noticed that compared to what this is. So I actually kind of like that. Then you got your sergeant major, your command sergeant major, got master gunnery sergeant, sergeant major. Then you got your. I love this because I believe they're. I know there's definitely one of these. I don't know how many of these there are. Master Chief Petty Officer. I'm guessing there's probably a couple dozen at most, maybe a few dozen. I know there's under 50 of them. I know that for damn sure because the Navy doesn't have that many people, especially of an E9 classification because that's right under your officers rather. Then you got your Chief Master Sergeant, First Sergeant, Command Chief Master Sergeant. I know for damn sure that all these only have one, but I know for sure this only has one, and this probably only has one, and this might only have one, as it's the smallest branch still. You have your Chief Master Sergeant, your First Sergeant, your Command Master, Chief Master Sergeant, and then over here you obviously have the same thing, kind of, literally as the Navy does. Then you have your Sergeant Major of the Army. For the longest time, I thought it was the Sergeant, First Sergeant Major of the Army, or First Sergeant of the Army. And then you literally have that. You got Chief Master Sergeant of the Space Force, Chief Master. I love how these are literally opposite of each other. Ironically, like these two are together, and then you literally have this one as Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. Then again, I guess these all are like, well, no, these two are Chief Master Sergeants of Air Force, Space Force. You got the Sergeant Major of the Army and Air, and let's say Air Corps, but the Marine Corps. Then you have your Master Chief Petty Officer, Navy, and Coast Guard. Then you got your warrant officers. Obviously, the Air Force are not going to have this because I don't even know why they would even have it. This is kind of what does confuse me. The Coast Guard does not have a Chief Warrant Officer 1. USN, obviously U.S. Navy, Warrant Officer 1, 2, 3, 4, and Chief. Warrant Officer 5. You got your Warrant Officer 1, Chief Warrant Officer 2. I don't know why they don't call this a Chief, I guess, because it's the bottoms. A lot of times, the Army and Marines are kind of on the same page. Sometimes Air Force and Space Force via, but obviously Navy and Coast Guard are pretty much alike in their own respects because they're on the water, right? These guys are on land. Granted, the Marines are a amphibious assault branch too, so they do that a lot too. I like this the most because it's literally got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have one stripe. Kind of similar here. They kind of went with a gold 2, a gold 3, silver 2, silver 3, silver stripe, or silver with a red stripe. I kind of like how they did it here too. They did 1 bar. They did kind of like a 2 bar with like 3 blue things there. They got the 1 silver, same with the silver thing. They kind of almost in a way copied the way the Marines did it in a way. And then you have the 1 stripe, so you kind of black, red, blue. Obviously, Air Force and Space Force doesn't have it. And you got this with the kind of what they took here, or right here. Literally replicated, but obviously vertical rather than horizontal because this is horizontal, that's vertical. Literally same thing. Literally same thing. None. I don't understand why you have a Chief Warrant Officer 2, 3, 4, not a 1 or a 5. I don't understand that. Another thing I don't understand, why is this called ensign? I still yet to understand that. Second lieutenant across the board except for Navy and Coast Guard. First lieutenant across the board except for Navy and Coast Guard, which is lieutenant junior grade. And then you got captain across the board, obviously lieutenant, major, lieutenant commander, lieutenant colonel, commander, colonel, captain, brigadier general, rear admiral, lower half, major general, rear admiral, upper half, lieutenant general, vice admiral, generals, admirals, general of the army, fleet admiral, general of the Air Force. I don't understand why the Marine Corps did not have this. Because I know damn well when MacArthur was chief of staff of the Army, I know he talked to that. I know damn well the chief of staff for I think it was Eisenhower, which was George Marshall, suggested it. I guess it just never was put in effect, and obviously there's no 5-star rank because Space Force was just created less than 5 years ago. But that is my reaction to all of the United States branches of the ranks. I'll probably do one of the the British, just for the hell of it, just to have like a counterpart, and then maybe even another branch. I will look in, or another country, and I'll look at it. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoy. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. See you later in the next episode. Peace out, sugar.